we go. We are live. I'm not going to have this cup of tea too close to this quilt. Ginger tea. Beautiful. So, Facebook Live. Good afternoon. And good afternoon. Welcome to Pinhole Quilting. I'm just going to check it's actually recording. Live. Comments will appear here. Yeah, looks okay. Looks okay. Right. And if we're lucky, it will, if someone can tell me if they can hear me, that would be cool. Who's that? Okay. So, I'm here on my own. Can you believe it? They've left me. They've left me. Pete and Mark have gone AWOL. They're off on a cricket tour to the southwest of England. And it looks like they're going to have amazing weather. So it's kind of like the perfect combination of cricket and sunshine, which doesn't happen very often. And certainly on the basis of some of the tours they've done in the past, it has definitely not happened. So it'll be a nice time that they'll be having down with some local village-style cricket team, various ones down in the southwest. No doubt there'll be a bit of banter. There might be a few curries. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of laughing. Not only at the cricket. But anyway, I'm sure they're not watching this live. Well, I hope they're not anyway. But if they are, hi Mark, have a great time. Hi Pete, have a great time. And we'll see you next week. So in the meantime, I'm left here to kind of kick back and go, right, what am I going to do next? So I thought I would give you a little insight into the way that I'm approaching a quilt. I'm also going to do a little demonstration of the Amara ST, which is the new Amara stationary machine, which can subsequently be converted to a movable machine to be put on a frame. So it gives you great versatility, and it was a huge success at the Festival of Quilts. And I'm looking forward to installing lots of these machines with customers who are waiting for their machines to come in, or the ones that we had in stock. And we're going to be installing those. I think the first one I've got is the week after I get back from Belfast. So that will be fun. Okay, so let me just check and see if there's any comments. If nobody can hear me, I'm hoping that you might have said. Hi Liz, Michelle. Oh, that's good, good. You can hear me, fabulous. Hi Carol. Hi Carol, thanks for your call last week. I'm glad to hear that Carol wasn't very well at Festival of Quilts, but fortunately she's fully recovered now. So Carol was helping us on our stand, and she's got a Moxie with Pro Stitcher Light. Was doing some fabulous demonstrations, cut short by some kind of nasty bug she picked up. So I'm glad to hear that you're well and recovered. And back to your quilting, Carol. She does some absolutely beautiful quilts, an example of which we've got over on the wall, just over there. Let's just have a look. For those of you who didn't make it to Festival of Quilts, whoops, there's a lead there. I will just give you, now the reason I've got this is because Carol had to leave early. There we go. There's Carol's quilt. It's absolutely stunning. Now that was a whole cloth quilt, kind of quilt along mystery quilt whole cloth with Telene Jeffrey. And Carol has done a beautiful job. Let me see if I can get a bit closer. It's got very long legs on this tripod, and they tend to catch on everything. And health and safety prevents me from falling over leads whilst there's nobody else in the showroom. Oh, let me just tilt that up a bit. There we go. Ah, that's better. I can get in nice and close now, I think. Look at that. Now, Carol said it's not good enough to go in the Festival of Quilts. I'm sorry to imitate your beautiful accent there, Carol, extremely badly. But I think she's done the most amazing job. And I'm sure you'll agree. So that's Carol's work. And some people thought that this beautiful quilt here, you see, from Carol, was made by this person here, and that is Linda Jackson. So, you know, Carol, you've been mistaken for Linda Jackson. That's how good that quilt looks. And I know every time we do a quilt, right, tell Carol she's got to enter a competition. Every time we do a quilt, we kind of think, if we were doing that again, we would do it differently. I'm just backing away here, hopefully not falling over anything. Okay, so this is our showroom all set up but it's about to be dismantled because, in fact, I'm supposed to be doing that after this Facebook Live. We've got to pack up. We're going to Belfast. There we go. That should encompass everything. We're going to Belfast. So next week we travel to Belfast on the ferry overnight from Liverpool. And we're really looking forward to it because I know that there's going to be a lot of our customers who are already in Ireland or Northern Ireland that will be coming to that show. And I hope that we meet some new customers and some lovely quilters that we have yet to show these beautiful machines to. So I think this angle, is that camera at an angle or is it me? And the phone's going. There was that time before when I was on my own when the phone went. And that was the hilarious conversation. I just will have to recount it as that goes. Shall I just answer it? Just answer it. Can I get you back? There we go. There we go. Right. So there was the hilarious conversation. So I couldn't answer the phone. I think I'd had an accident. I nearly fell off the saddle. It was all a litany of disaster, really. Anyway, the phone went and I couldn't get to it. And there was this answer phone message that was left. And all it was like a message that said, I'd like to go ahead, give you the deposit, but I'm in the back of an ambulance. And that was the conversation. So I thought, well, gosh, now who would be in the back of an ambulance? So either it's somebody with somebody else that's the patient, they're not the patient, or they're the patient. Or there's somebody else, medical professional. So as it turned out, it was the latter. But I had this imagining that somebody's husband had keeled over, she'd got the wallet out in the back of the ambulance going, I'm going to go ahead with that Amara ST now. Let me just give the credit card details for my husband. He said yes. Anyway, it was very funny. And subsequently, that customer's had her machine installed in Amara, and it's beautiful. And she does some fantastic work. So what are we going to do today? We're going to talk about some of these shows because we're doing Belfast and we're doing Harrogate. Well, Pete and Carol and Graham are doing Harrogate. I shall be back at base getting ready for classes the following week. And we're also doing, and we completely forgot that we're doing, Malvern Quilt Show as well, the Autumn Quilt Show at Malvern, which is towards the end of October, the second but one last weekend in October. And no, it's not the last weekend because Houston starts the last weekend in October and we'll be going over. So any of our American friends who are going to be at the Houston show, we will be going around the show. We're doing market first, then we're doing festival, and I can't wait to sign up for some of those classes. There's a few that are still available that I really, really, really want to do. So I will be in heaven because we're going for a while. But you know, it's the way that we get our education as well. And as we know, education is very, very important, particularly when you've got a long arm. Let me just check the messages. Oh, well, maybe I can check it on here. I might be able to check it on here. I don't want to have the sound on. Bear with me a moment. I don't really want to turn my back on you, but I'm going to turn my back on you. So we've had, let me see. We do struggle to find where, if I get a notifications, you see, I'm never doing this bit. Here we go. George has commented on our post. Let's hope that that is the Facebook Live. Oh, it is. It is. Fantastic. Okay, brilliant. I can see myself. Even better. Even better. So, let me put that there. So, here we go. We've got... That's really weird. It's like there's a few seconds delay and I can just see myself on here now. So we've got loads of installations coming up. We had a very, very busy Festival of Quilts. So we're looking forward to installing all of those machines for our customers. So if we haven't been in touch recently, just to let you know that like a lot of people that were affected by the unfortunate incident with air traffic control on Monday, our delivery has slightly been delayed. So we will be in touch about your installations, but we were hoping that it would be in ASAP, perhaps Monday, and it turns out it's going to be a little bit later in the week. Anyway, it will be here and we will give you a call. We'll be in touch about your installations and no doubt Pete will be communicating with you about whether, if you're having an installation done, when that's going to be. And that's a very exciting moment, isn't it? You get your machine, as Georgie did this week. And so I posted on Facebook some lovely pictures of what Georgie had done pre-Pro Stitcher, and fantastic free motion work, and really, really beautiful. And she's been in a number of classes. She's coming to the Pro Stitcher class along with a number of other customers, of course. And we're looking forward to seeing what you do with the Pro Stitcher, Georgie. So we had a nice session this morning, learning all about Pro Stitcher. Well, I wasn't learning, hopefully I was teaching. But yeah, that was a fun session. So I'm just going to leave my laptop there. Right, so what are we doing? What are we doing at Belfast? If you're going to come along to the Belfast show, come along, have a play on our machines. We'll be doing demonstrations on those. We'll be bringing some of our full line stencils and some glide thread. But the most important thing is, there's going to be limited space on the bus. Trailer and my car. So if you want anything specifically, please do place your order before midnight Monday. For pickup at the show. There's a special checkout option online that you can use to that effect. So I hope that anybody who's going to the show picks this up. I'll post it on Facebook, and hopefully you'll see that and you'll order in advance. There's nothing worse than, because it's such an advantage. I mean, the whole thing with sending things, I'm going to not even say abroad, because it's not. It's part of the UK. But it's very difficult for us to send things sometimes, and it's just easier, isn't it, if we can bring it over with us. What else have we got? And what are we taking with us? We're taking our Amara, the lovely Amara 20 I'm about to demonstrate on, the Amara ST that I'm about to demonstrate on, and a Moxie with Pro Stitcher Lite. And we'll probably also put a second machine on that frame with the Amara on it. We might well bring a Simply 16, because we've got some really good offers on the Simply 16 that we'll be demonstrating at the Belfast show. So do come along. We'll be demonstrating them at Harrogate as well. We'll be bringing some glide collections, shades, a few handy quarter accessories, Angela's rulers. I'll be demonstrating one of those shortly. Stencils and pounds. So we look forward to seeing you there if you're coming to that, or at Harrogate if you're coming to that. All right, now let's talk about quilting. So what have we got here? I've mentioned this quilt before, I believe. This is a tricky quilt. It is a tricky quilt because it's got fabrics that scare us a lot, because it's not cotton. And we like cotton, and cotton's like what we know. And then you've got something like this, which is basketball shirts that we don't normally stitch through. So I will just tell you some of the things that I have done in order to prepare to quilt this for the lovely Pete Curran. And Pete is going to, first of all, where is the quilt going to go? Whenever you're putting a quilt together, one of the most important things you need to ask is, where is it going? Because that does affect how, first of all, how you're going to quilt it, the style you're going to quilt it, the wadding you're going to use, etc. Now, the wadding and the backing were supplied, and I'm happy with the wadding. I think, yeah, it looks like a nice cotton. It might have a little bit of poly in there. I'm not actually sure what make it is. It just came folded up. The backing is just a cotton fabric, and it's been joined. So I have put the join that direction. It wasn't directional. The fabric was not directional for the backing, so I put it along like that. Why do we do that? We do that so that we only hit that seam once. Now, my preference would have been if it had been a bit of a wider seam, maybe instead of 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, and press flat. But it's only 1/4 inch, and it's not so easy to press that flat. So I've left it as it is. It will naturally go with the quilt because of how I've loaded it. The other thing is that if you don't do that, if you put the seam, because it's quite wide, yeah, it's wider than a 45, and I have mounted it centrally, but if you were to put that seam bang in the middle, what happens is it builds up. You get a build up here and a build up here, and then you get less tension either side of it, and it's a bit off-putting. You can do it, but it's not ideal. Next thing. Once we've decided that where it's going, and we've worked out the backing fabric and the wadding, integral to this, of course, is, so where is it going, how it's going to be used. It's going to be used on a bed. And I don't want it to be too heavily quilted. So Pete just said, use your, how did he put it? Use your intuition, something like that. I can't remember what he said now. Not specifically. Anyway, I think what he was basically saying was, I'll leave it to you. And that's great. That's really, really good. But then I've got to think about how I'm going to do this technically and creatively. Let's talk technical first. Technically, I've talked about this before. On last week's session, we got the option over some of these rubberized bits. If it's going to stick, if you think the foot's going to stick, then do that on top of that. But what I've decided is this. Technically, we've got some stabilizer on the back of here, so that's fine. Gosh, that seam's coming apart already. That's not good, is it? There's a seam that joins the border. The border is tiny. I was a bit worried about that, but I figured he just wants the shirts. So, and I didn't make that bit. So what we've got is a quilt that needs to be not too heavily quilted, that's complementary to the shirts, and it is surely all about the Jordan bit. The balls, Jordan, we got Chicago, USA Basketball, number 9, Wizards. So I've been watching Netflix about Michael Jordan in order to get into this whole concept. I loved Michael Jordan at the time. And we're talking 80s, right? Just used to love watching basketball, and he's just the most amazing player. So it was really good to see some of the program and to think about the whole concept of this shirt quilt. So what is it about? It's got to be. It's very much for a guy. So I don't want to have loads of motifs on it. I want it nice and simple. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go around stabilizing each of these blocks as I work my way down the quilt. I'm going to quilt the quilt by stabilizing around each of these numbers so that they're attached to the backing and down each of the ditch pieces that separates the shirts. And I'm going to do that with the glide foot and the micro foot. And I'm sort of looking around as to what I've done with the micro foot. I had it, but I have a temptation of leaving things on the back of the frame and they go whizzing off, so I've probably moved it somewhere safer. Anyway, the micro foot is going to be great for going around each of these numbers. So I'm going to use the ruler base and I'm going to go around that with holding the ruler so that I can get as close as possible, as straight as possible. So, stabilizing the ditch, go around the motifs, a bit like how I did with, I'm just going to show you another quilt where I had an equally difficult issue years ago with this. And I'll just take a look at the comments. Oh, Pete says, awful traffic jam. Everyone's going to Devon. Pete, that's what happens when the sun shines. Everybody goes to Devon. Yeah, that is a problem. He is listening then. Okay, so this was a quilt I did years and years ago. Probably the first big quilt I ever did on an Avanti. And each of these has got really old style Bonder web in it. And they're really stiff. So what I did was I went round each of these applique designs, and then in a few places I went around these bits, like this bit, this brown bit, I did that as well, and just stabilized it. So that's the aim, is to kind of stabilize that within the block and then quilt the block. So that is the plan. I'm using a white glide thread. Because it's a knit, I'm using a ballpoint size 18, which is fairly big, but I was a bit worried about some of these seams. They're quite thick, and where some of these joins are. So I thought an 18, and it seems to be working fine. And a 16 or 18 is fine with the glide threads. So I've tested it all out. I'm using a Magnasoft in the bobbin and the glide thread in the top. And the idea of Magnasoft is that not only has it got the magnet, which reduces backlash, but the glide in the top is it's a slick thread, but it's grabbed by the Magnasoft in the bobbin. Can I just say it's getting very, very warm in here? I'm just going to have to open that door. Heavens above. Very, very hot. Oh, that's better. There we go. So, ballpoint needle. So what do I do first? I want to do the straight lines. I based it all on, that's fine. That's a no-brainer bit. That's nothing different with this quilt. But what did I do? I did the first line. I'm just going to show you this. Let's get that down there. And I'm floating it. Before I put it on the frame, I measured it across 4 places, and the difference is 1/2 inch in total. And I could have trimmed the border, but it's such a thin border. I didn't want to do that. So I think that what's happened is this top piece here has just been trimmed and not cut to size and put on. So it does this at the edges. So I've done a straight line, which will therefore eliminate that when I take it off. So what else did I do? I'm just going to cut this thread here, and I'll just show you what happened. Because I hope that these sessions are useful to you, not just because it's a way of us saying hi and yeah, we'll see how it goes, but from a technical point of view, real life happens, right? Real life stuff happens. So I'm doing this very first bit up here. I'll just bring you in to show you this. Right. On this bit here, this white bit here where it says Jordan. See, this is what happens. It gets stuck on these things. Jordan, isn't it here? Right? I'm going along here, and there's a little bit loose thread there. Yeah, there's loose thread because I unpicked it. I had to unpick it. It actually came out of the tension discs. These tension discs just here. It came out. The thread came out. And I thought, now why did that come out? Why did the thread come out? So I unpicked it. Luckily, I hadn't gone very far. I heard it go. I absolutely heard it go. And I still don't quite know why it went, but I'm just going to wind this on. So I rethreaded it, put it all back. Happy days. And I did that first line across, right? And then I thought, okay, well, I'll do some stitching down the side here. Walk with me, walking. And we're walking. And look, I got a thread splurge. Thread splurge. Did it again. So why did it do that? Good question. Why did it do that? And what can we do about it? Right, so what's happening is, I could see this happening when I was just sort of messing around with it. What's happening is it's sort of, the glide thread is trying to work its way out of these discs. So either a thread net on there can help. Sometimes you can put a little bit of extra pressure on. But I've actually gone around the tension disc twice. So I'm going to try that, and I'll let you know how I get on. But I don't know whether it's because of the way it's stitching or what's happening. But I've not had that problem with this, with normal fabric, okay? So something like that happens, you kind of go, okay, what can we do about it? Going twice around the tension disc means I'm going through those pre-tensioners. I am skipping the middle one. Maybe I might actually put it through the middle one now and then retension and check everything. But it's going around and then back around again. And that seems to be better. And I've just done a test and it's all stitching fine on my cotton. So I asked when I got sent this quilt if they got the offcuts of when it was made, and they'd already got rid of the offcuts. So I've got nothing to test it on. So here's the key thing. Always test with the same fabric if you can. And if you can't do that, then this kind of thing can happen because we're not sure of how it's going to behave with different needles and threads. So if anybody's got any ideas of why that might have happened, that would be really useful to know. Right. And Liz Dunkley says, yeah, this is useful to me. I have a T-shirt quilt in the making, so stabilize it. Woven cotton stabilizer, Cotton Patch sells some, is really good. Bit of trepidation, no room for error. And Karen Vipond, yes, thank you, Karen. I had to do that with one quilt going twice around the tension disc, and it worked well. Yeah, I've done it before, but I didn't expect to have to do it with this. But the fact it's happened twice in close succession, I don't really want to have to unpick another piece of quilting. You know what it's like, reverse sewing, not my favourite. So there we go, that's my T-shirt quilt, basketball quilt, and thanks for your feedback on that, particularly Karen for having done it before, and Liz, good luck with your quilt. So any other comments on this? I will let you know how it goes. It shouldn't take too long. So the other thing is, we talked about technical, didn't we? Technical techniques, but then creative, what am I going to do? So I'm going to use the channel locks on this. So once I've stabilized it all, I'm going to come back and I'm going to do random sort of Greek key type things. That's my plan at the moment. It may change by the time I come to actually quilting it. What I find is, the more I look at a quilt and the more I work with it, I'm not somebody that can just kind of go, right, this is exactly what I'm going to do. I think you kind of pick up things and you see stuff in the quilt and there's a certain amount of like, oh yeah, no, actually if I did this, that would be good. So I will see. I will see how it goes. I will let you know. And I hope I don't get any more thread splurges. Right, let's walk over this way. And we're going to look at the Amara ST now. Maybe better with a size 16, says Pete. You might be right. Do I change one thing at a time, or do I change all of these things? That's the question. Right, you're coming down in the world. You're just coming over here, and I'm hoping of course, Smart Cuts here. That seems to be the case on a Friday afternoon, that we get the Smart Cut people coming, which is a little unfortunate because they make a lot of noise. Oh, I can't believe it. Right, anyway, you can see me. Hopefully you can hear me as well. So the Amara ST 20-inch throat space machine, and I'm just going to do some free motion quilting. And why not? Stitch regulated. There's 2 magic eyes in the machine, here and here. Oh, let's just come around the building where we're doing the Facebook Live from. Why not? Oh, hilarious. They're just the other side of this wall. Right. Peaceful. And peace. It is putting me off a bit, I've got to be honest. And look, it just, wherever you want to go, it's going to be stitch regulated. Brilliant. It's just so, it's really effortless. I think one of the things to think about is when you're quilting with your domestic, you're quite often thinking about, oh, I've got to move it again, I've got to move it again. And with this, you don't have to. You can just think about what you're going to do. So one of the things that we can use, obviously, is on the sit-downs as well as the stand-ups is the rulers. And I've got the Surefoot on here. So how do we do ruler work on a sit-down? I normally keep one of these. It's the sweet spot. It's got this sort of velour underside, which keeps you in control. And then we can use it with rulers. So this is one of Angela Walters, my friend Angela. This is one of Angela Walters' rulers. This is Smiley, because that's what we'll be doing when we go and see our customers in Northern Ireland next week. So I'm just going to put that like that. And I can either, are you ambidextrous? It's very, I'm not ambidextrous, clearly. So we can do that. But the nice thing about a sit down is, should we wish to do so, and you wouldn't do this in the middle of the thing, but I could have just flipped it around, okay? There we go. And then we could fill it with, I'll get my other one. Then we can fill it with our feathers. The thing about these rulers, what I've already found from using them is, obviously Angela's done quite a lot of quilting. And just a few reference lines, like having the straight line, having the non-skid stuff on the underside, and having some of these marks, means that when you need to realign it for the next section, and the fact that it stops exactly where you want in this little groovy thing is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So I could, for example, if I put that on there, I can put the straight line against the edge. And even though I might not have more than just one straight line, it's enough so that if I wanted to do multiples of that design, where it kind of looks, I think that could look quite 3D. Let me show you what I mean. If you wanted to, you could have that section in the middle so that it was almost like a hole and not quilted. And then in here, I'll put increase speed, increase number of stitches per inch. And do a little mini ba-ba-bum. I'm just going to do a little bit of ribbon candy for a little bit of definition. Anybody who went to Festival of Quilts and saw Angela quilting, that was such a treat for us as well. Angela is such a nice person, by the way. I mean, if you got the chance to meet her, you'll know that, just because she's so genuine. She is so genuine and very funny. But everybody who went to her lecture will know that, because there was a lot of laughter coming out of that lecture theatre as Angela was talking about quilting. It was great to see her again, because I hadn't seen her since 2015, and she hasn't changed at all. She seems to be, you know, a little bit of a Dorian Gray. Ageless. Ageless. So there we go. Let me pick this up. The men with the lawnmower cutter things have gone a little further away. They're still there in the background though. So Georgie says that she used Smiley on the quilt that I posted the other day. Smiley's great. So that's what I mean. There we go. There's my smile. Actually, it looks like an eye. So a bit of ribbon candy in here to create a little bit of definition. And then I was just testing them out with this. So Smiley, then we got Taj. Yeah, we got all of those. And we'll do a feature on them. Now we're back from festival and we're starting to get sorted. This one, sorry. Elvira. Very good. Very curvaceous. Taj is really, really useful. Good straight line ruler, very handy. And dot. So there are videos that Angela has done that are far superior to my demonstration abilities, as you will be aware. So definitely check out Angela's website. I'll put some links. I'll put some links to the YouTube videos on the products. Anyway, it's now, I've been on for about half an hour and I'm really looking forward to getting back to that quilt. So just a couple of more things to say. If you are a new handy quilter owner and you're getting your machine shortly, or you'll be getting it very soon, or we'll be letting you know, if you ordered it at the Festival of Quilts or just afterwards, the workshops that are coming up, the foundation workshops, we've got space in November, and also I'll be announcing details of the virtual workshop that's taking place in November as well. We'll put the details together for that so that you can sign up virtually as well. Now that's for people who can't get here in person. So if you take that, then you sort of forfeit the ability to come here for an in-person foundation workshop. But obviously, if you live on some far-flung island, lucky you, then you might want to do virtual. And that would be good. That would save you the journey. and Carolyn and I will be putting that together. The other people who will be coming soon are Pro Stitcher customers who booked up for the October workshop with Linda. I will be letting you know about what you need to have on your tablets, but in essence, let me just tell you briefly that we are going for the non-Connect version, just so we can have everybody at the same level, because I've got lots of different customers with it. And the essence of it, the functionality, is the same in 537 as Connect right now. So we'll be teaching you stuff that you will be able to do regardless of which model you have. But I don't think we've got many people in the UK who've gone to Connect. I'm testing it out at the moment. That version I'm using over there is a Connect version. Okay, well, I'm going to have a quick look at any questions. Bear with me, you're going to see an empty ST there for a second. Oh, and Greta's done a T-shirt quilt. Lovely. Brilliant. Yeah, no, that's really useful. That's really good to know, Greta. Well done. Well done, Greta. And yeah, I hope that we are able to pass on details of things that you can learn from us, hopefully with some of the mistakes that we make as well. That's how we learn. And all I'm going to say is that there are some new videos going up on the YouTube sometime in the next 3-4 days, once I've edited the last part of my Pro Stitcher Lite, but can be used on Pro Stitcher, custom quilting. And I finished it. It's gone off. Pauline's picked it up today, and they're going to go and bind it. I bound it on the machine, but the second part of the binding, the sort of hand turn at the back, Pauline's sister Anne, thank you very much, Anne, will be doing. So that's all done and dusted, off the frame. Yay, another one done. Only took me several months, but that's because I was filming it as well. Just bear that in mind. That's my excuse anyway. So listen, I know that we've got some beautiful weather coming up, and when we're off to Ireland, Northern Ireland, it's due to be about like 28 degrees here or something. So wherever you are, I hope you're nice and warm again, because it's been really cold, very autumnal, but we're having a little bit of heat before the last throes of summer disappear. And that means that we're into proper quilting sessions. So, I mean, I'm always happy about that. I don't mind the autumn and the winter. It can get a bit dreary in January, February, let's face it. But actually, the thought of being sort of hunkered down under a nice quilt is a very comforting thing indeed, even though we do love the summer too. Okay, everybody. I will look forward to seeing you. Won't see you live from here next week, because in Friday we'll be in Northern Ireland. But I'm hoping that we're going to take our portable recording stuff and we'll be doing a little session, Facebook Live. It might just be when we can. It won't necessarily be at 3 p.m. on Friday. So look out for that on our Facebook Live feed, and have a wonderful week and very happy quilting.